You walk out to your garden on a Tuesday morning, coffee in hand, feeling good about life. The tomatoes are coming in. The squash is finally setting fruit. And then you see it. Holes. Everywhere. Something chewed through your pepper leaves overnight. Your zucchini stems are wilting from the inside out, and there is a cloud of tiny white flies rising off your tomato plants like smoke. So you do what most of us do. You drive to the garden center. You buy a bottle of something that promises to kill everything that moves. You spray it, and maybe it works for a week. But then the pests come back, sometimes worse than before, and now you are wondering if you just poisoned the very food you were trying to grow for your family. If that sounds familiar, you are not alone. I did that exact thing for the better part of 20 years. Spray first, ask questions later. I thought that was just the price of admission. But about 15 years ago, everything changed. I was invited to visit a working Amish farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. I walked through their vegetable rows expecting to see damage, pest traps, sprayers tucked behind the barn. But there was nothing. No sprays, no traps, no damage worth mentioning. Just row after row of the healthiest vegetables I had ever seen outside of a university trial garden. I turned to the farmer, a man named Eli who had been working that same land for over 40 years, and I asked him point blank, "What are you spraying?" He looked at me like I had asked him what color the sky was. He said, and I will never forget this, "We do not spray. A healthy garden does not need it. You do not fix problems. You prevent them." I've been gardening for over 50 years. I have a master gardener certification. And that one sentence from a man with an 8th grade education stopped me cold. Because he was right. And I had been wrong for decades. That is what we are going to talk about today. The Amish do not have a secret pesticide. They do not have a magic trick. What they have is a foundational rule, a way of thinking about gardens that most American gardeners have completely abandoned. And once you understand it, once you really let it sink in, you will never fight pests the same way again. The Amish gardening philosophy comes down to one principle: prevention over reaction. They believe that a garden built on healthy soil, thoughtful rotation, diverse planting, and a thriving ecosystem of beneficial insects simply does not develop serious pest problems. The pests may visit, but they do not stay. They do not explode. They do not devastate. Think of it this way. When your body is healthy, you still encounter germs, but your immune system handles them. You do not even notice. That is exactly how the Amish think about a garden. The garden has an immune system. Your job is not to fight pests after they show up. Your job is to build that immune system so strong that most problems handle themselves. Now, not every Amish farmer does things identically. Practices vary from Lancaster County to Holmes County, Ohio, to the settlements in Indiana. But this underlying principle, building health rather than fighting sickness, runs through nearly every Amish garden I have visited. And modern agricultural research confirms exactly why it works. This is not about throwing out everything you know. This is about adding one more layer to what you already do. A layer that might just mean you never reach for a spray bottle again. Let me walk you through the 4 pillars of how the Amish build a pest-free garden. These are not theories. These are practices I watched with my own eyes, brought home to my own beds, and have used successfully for over a decade now. And every single one of them is something you can start this season. Step 1. Build your soil like the Amish do. If I could go back and tell my younger self one thing about gardening, it would be this. Stop thinking about plants. Start thinking about soil. Healthy soil grows strong plants, and strong plants resist pests naturally. Here is the biology. When your soil is rich in organic matter and teeming with microbial life, your plants develop stronger cell walls, produce more natural defense compounds, and grow vigorously enough to outpace minor pest damage. A weak plant in dead soil is a buffet. A strong plant in living soil is a fortress. What do the Amish actually do? Compost. Massive amounts of it. They are not buying bags of synthetic fertilizer. They are building compost piles from animal manure, kitchen scraps, straw, and leaf litter, and applying it generously. Here's your starting point. This fall, spread 2 to 3 inches of finished compost across every bed, and work it into the top 4 to 6 inches of soil. If you do not have your own compost, look for a local source of aged horse or cow manure. Many Amish and Mennonite farms sell it by the truckload for next to nothing. In the spring, add another inch of compost as a top dressing. Do not till it in deep. Let the earthworms and soil organisms pull it down naturally. Excessive tilling destroys the fungal networks in your soil, the very networks that help plants access nutrients and resist disease. You want to see earthworms when you dig. Turn over a shovelful of soil. 5 or more earthworms in that scoop means your soil biology is heading in the right direction. If you see none, you have work to do. But one season of consistent composting can dramatically change what is living in your dirt. This is not an overnight fix. The Amish have been building their soil for generations. Give it one full season of heavy composting before you judge the results. By year 2, you will see a measurable difference in plant vigor and pest pressure. By year 3, you will wonder why you ever bought a bottle of anything. Step 2. Rotate your crops the way their grandparents taught them. Here is a mistake I made for years, and I would bet you have made it too. Planting tomatoes in the same spot every season, or peppers, or squash, whatever your favorites are, same bed year after year. The Amish never do this. When you plant the same crop family in the same soil year after year, you are building a pest and disease hotel. Tomato hornworms overwinter in the soil right where your tomatoes were. Squash vine borers lay eggs near last year's squash roots. Fungal diseases like early blight build up season after season, getting worse each year. Crop rotation breaks that cycle. It is that simple and that powerful. Here's a straightforward 3-year rotation you can start with, even in a small backyard garden. Year 1 in a given bed, plant your nightshades. Tomatoes, peppers, eggplant. Year 2 in that same bed, switch to legumes and root vegetables. Beans, peas, carrots, beets. The legumes fix nitrogen in the soil, naturally replenishing what the heavy-feeding nightshades used up. Year 3, plant brassicas and cucurbits, cabbage, broccoli, kale, squash, cucumbers. Then start the cycle over. If you only have 2 or 3 raised beds, you can still rotate. Even moving crops one bed over makes a difference. The point is that no plant family sits in the same soil 2 years running. I started rotating about 12 years ago, and within 2 seasons, my early blight problem on tomatoes, a problem I had fought every year for over a decade, virtually disappeared. Not reduced, disappeared. I did not spray a single thing. I just moved the tomatoes. The Amish have been doing this for generations. Their grandparents taught them, and their grandparents learned it from working the land and paying attention. Sometimes the oldest knowledge is the most reliable. Step 3. Plant companions, not monocultures. Walk through a conventional American garden, and what do you see? A row of tomatoes, a row of peppers, a row of beans, everything in neat, separated lines. Now walk through an Amish garden. Marigolds are tucked between the tomato. Plants. Basil grows alongside the peppers. Nasturtiums sprawl at the edges of the squash bed. It looks a little wild, a little unruly, and it is absolutely intentional. This is companion planting, and the Amish treat it as non-negotiable. Here's why it works. First, diversity confuses pests. Many garden pests find their target plants by smell. A solid block of tomatoes sends a strong chemical signal that says, dinner is served. But when you interplant with strong-smelling herbs and flowers, you disrupt that signal. Second, certain companions actively repel specific pests. French marigolds release root compounds that repel root knot nematodes, and their scent deters whiteflies and aphids. Basil planted near tomatoes has been shown in university studies to reduce thrips. Nasturtiums work as a trap crop, attracting aphids to themselves and away from your vegetables. Here are the specific combinations I use, borrowed from Amish farms and confirmed by over a decade of my own results. With tomatoes, plant basil every 12 to 18 inches along the row and border the bed with French marigolds. With squash and cucumbers, plant nasturtiums at the corners and let them sprawl. Add a few radish plants among the squash. They mature fast and their leaves can deter flea beetles. With brassicas like cabbage and broccoli, interplant with dill, chamomile, or thyme. These attract the tiny parasitic wasps that prey on cabbage worms. Companion planting alone will not eliminate every pest. I would not be honest if I told you otherwise. But as one layer in this system, combined with healthy soil and proper rotation, it makes a remarkable difference. The Amish do not rely on any single practice. They stack them, and that stacking is where the real power lies. Step 4. Invite the beneficial army. This is the piece most American gardeners completely overlook, and it might be the most important one. The Amish do not just avoid killing pests. They actively cultivate the insects that kill pests for them. Every time you spray a broad-spectrum pesticide, even an organic one, you are not just killing aphids or hornworms. You are killing the ladybugs that eat aphids. You are killing the lacewing larvae that devour whiteflies. You are killing the parasitic wasps that lay eggs inside caterpillars. You are wiping out your garden's defense force, and then wondering why the pests come roaring back 2 weeks later. The Amish never spray, so their beneficial populations build year after year. Their gardens are full of predators that keep pest populations in check naturally. Here's how you build that army. First, plant flowers and herbs that provide nectar and pollen throughout the entire growing season. Alyssum, yarrow, dill, fennel, cosmos, and sunflowers are all excellent choices. Plant them along the borders and in gaps between vegetable rows. Second, give them habitat. Leave a small section of your garden a little wild. Do not cut back every dead stem in the fall. A bundle of hollow stems or a small brush pile gives solitary bees and predatory beetles a place to survive winter. Third, and this is the hardest part, tolerate a small number of pests. If you eliminate every aphid, the ladybugs have nothing to eat, so they leave. You need a few pests to keep the predators around. A few chewed leaves are not a crisis. They are evidence that the food web is working. I remember the first season I committed to this fully. I saw aphids on my kale in late May, and every instinct told me to spray. But I waited. Within 10 days, ladybugs arrived, then lacewing larvae. Within 3 weeks, the aphid population had collapsed without me lifting a finger. That was the moment I understood what Eli had been telling me. A healthy garden handles it. Here is what happens when you stack all 4 of these together. Year 1, you build your soil and start your rotation. You plant companions and put in some flowering borders. Honestly, you might not see dramatic results yet. The system is building. Be patient. The Amish did not build their gardens in one season, and neither will you. Year 2, you notice something? The pest pressure is lighter than last year. You see more beneficial insects visiting. Your plants look more vigorous. You reach for the spray bottle once or twice out of habit, but you catch yourself. Year 3, this is where it gets remarkable. Your soil is alive. Your rotation has broken the disease cycles. Your companions are confusing and repelling pests. Your beneficial insect population has established itself. And you realize you have not sprayed anything all season. Not because you are being stubborn, but because you genuinely have not needed to. That is not a fantasy. That is my actual experience, and it mirrors what the Amish have known for generations. Now, I want to be honest about limitations. This system works best in zones 4 through 9, where a defined growing season with winter helps reset pest cycles. If you are in the deep south with year-round warmth, you may need more aggressive companion planting and beneficial insect habitat. This approach also requires patience. If you are dealing with a severe infestation right now, this system is not going to save your tomatoes this afternoon. Handle the immediate crisis however you need to. But start building this system alongside it, and over time, those crises become fewer until they stop happening altogether. And if you have been gardening for 30 or 40 years, I am not telling you everything you have done is wrong. You grew food, you fed your family, that matters. What I'm telling you is there is a layer you can add that will make everything you already know work better. The Amish did not invent gardening. They just remembered something the rest of us forgot. A garden is a living system, and when you take care of the system takes care of itself. Remember that Tuesday morning at the beginning? The holes in the leaves, the wilting, stems, the cloud of whiteflies? Here's the thing. With the Amish approach, you still walk out on a Tuesday morning with your coffee, but what you see is different. You see a few chewed leaves, sure, but you also see a ladybug working the underside of a pepper leaf. You see a tiny parasitic wasp hovering near the cabbage. You see earthworms pulling compost down into soil so dark and rich it looks like chocolate cake. And you realize for the first time that your garden is not at war. It is at peace. And it is handling things just fine without you. That changes everything. Not just your harvest, your whole experience of what it means to walk outside and grow something. So here is my challenge to you. This season, pick one of these 4 steps. Just one. If your soil is tired, start with the compost. If you have been planting tomatoes in the same spot for a decade, move them. If your garden is a monoculture of neat rows, tuck some marigolds and basil in between. If you have been spraying everything that moves, stop and plant some alyssum along the border instead. Give it one full season. Watch what happens. And then come back and tell me about it, because I already know what you are going to say. You are going to say the same thing I said 15 years ago, standing in Eli's garden in Lancaster County, watching a pest-free paradise that ran on nothing but compost, wisdom, and patience. You are going to say, why did it take me so long to learn this? And I will tell you what Eli told me. It is not too late. The soil is ready when you are.